In the year 2167, on the 16th of May, the human world finally fell after the demon race conquered the very last inch of territory. Amidst the wreckage of a burning city, we see a stone pillar with a body bound to it. And that's Si Chen, our MC, known as the Triple S rank lightning assassin. This all started 7 years ago when several demon kings descended upon the earth, led by the fearsome Lan Yue. Looking down at our MC, this monster calls humanity fragile, pathetic trash, and even laughs at their last hope. And then, he says it's time for our guy to fulfill his one remaining purpose. Lan Yu prepares his attack, because the Demon King wants our MC to become his meal and the source of his new absolute power. And just like that, the fiend starts draining the MC's life, consuming all his energy. But Si Chen tries to fight back as he feels his soul being pulled away, saying he can't accept this cruel fate. He immediately remembers his sister, his friends, and his master, who are all taken down by these merciless beasts. Filled with rage, our guy starts to unleash his last ounce of power because he's not going down without a fight. The MC declares he's dragging the monster down with him, even if it's the last thing he ever does. Then he activates his ultimate skill, Arc of Termination, which creates a massive explosion of electricity across the battlefield. And the Demon King Lan Yue is totally blown away, wondering why he can't move inside the MC's light. The MC's body begins to break apart as he releases all of his energy in one final blow. In the middle of this chaos, he remembers his fallen sister and feels a deep pain for not being able to save her. He also remembers his master, another loss that deeply scarred the boy's life. On top of that, our MC thinks of his parents and accepts that they will all be together again soon, because deep down he feels guilty for not being strong enough to change everyone's cruel destiny. As the light consumes everything, the Demon King curses the human race, never imagining he'd be defeated like this. A bright flash takes over the entire scene, making the battlefield disappear completely. Even as he was fading away, the MC still blamed himself for not discovering the demon's lair much sooner. Because if he had stopped the first Demon King, the world's story wouldn't have ended in such a total tragedy. Somewhere, someone seems to be waking up, and it looks like they're regaining consciousness. He then opens his eyes and realizes he doesn't recognize the environment at all. Our little MC realizes he's alive and notices some bandages on his face. He gets up from a simple bed inside a room that looks a lot like a doctor's office. Si Chen is freaked out that he's not gone and wonders where on earth he's ended up now. Looking through the window, our MC is shocked to see a clear sky and a scene totally different from the end of the world. And, peeking outside, he realizes he's in a school nurse's office while a bunch of students are walking around peacefully. In our guy's mind, the entire world had already been destroyed, and he wonders where all these living people came from. Even though it feels like a crazy dream, after a good while he finally starts to accept that this reality is, in fact, real. What's more, our little MC discovers he's gone back 10 years into the past, right back to when he was still in college. As he tries to process everything, something strange seems to be forming, kind of like a system. And yep, that's exactly what it is. A system message notifies him that the integration of the gluttony power has been successfully completed in his body. He looks at a digital clock that reads May 16, 2157 at exactly 4:15 p.m. As soon as he confirms the date, Si Chen understands that he really did go back 10 years before everything went south in his life. But he realizes there are still 3 years to go before the descent of the Demon Kings who wiped out the human race. In the year 2160, the first Demon King, named Wrath, will descend to spread terror. And it was this Wrath guy who opened the gates of the underworld and allowed the other monsters to follow right behind. That was the starting point for total destruction, and the main reason our MC lost his entire family. But now he's back, and the young man feels like he's been given a precious second chance by fate. Si Chen decides he's going to defeat the first demon and stop the gates from ever being opened to change the future. Our MC stares at that gluttony power screen and tries to figure out what the heck this bizarre interface is. The kid realizes that something has truly changed inside his body. And, out of nowhere, a game-like screen pops up, showing he's still at level 1, but with some pretty high numbers. He notices he has 100 points in every attribute, like strength and agility, and wonders if this is really his current power. On top of that, Si Chen remembers that back in the day, he could only fight using the power he awakened much later on. Only one person in 10,000 is lucky enough to become an awakened and get a special class in this world. Unfortunately, in his past life, he was a complete nobody and spent his days being walked all over by everyone in college. Thinking it over, our little MC figures he got beat up so bad by those bullies that he ended up in the nurse's office again. Out of nowhere, a new window starts appearing in front of him, revealing the system's secret files. And up pops the stat sheet for the Lightning Assassin class, showing off OP techniques like Electric Blade and Thunder God mode. Feeling that power course through his veins, our guy realizes that his future strength might have come back with him. He wonders if he managed to awaken his powers years ahead of schedule. And so, the system begins the class change process. But a noise at the door breaks the mood and Si-chen stares intently to see who decided to walk in. Ma Long walks into the room looking scared, because this guy's just an E-rank awakened who can't handle much pressure. Ma Long comes over, all worried, asking if our guy is okay, and if his body has stopped hurting yet. Si-chen replies that everything's fine while noticing that no one but him can see that system interface. His friend is impressed, noticing that all his injuries healed way too fast, even for a regular awakened. This dork with the glasses is Ma Long, who is our MC's roommate back in their college days. He was a pretty low-level warrior who ended up getting taken out on just the third day of the demon invasion in the past life. Seeing his buddy alive and well in front of him finally makes our MC feel like he's really back in the past. But his roommate quickly kills the vibe, reminding him that the ranking test is tomorrow, and they can't be slacking off. He starts dragging Si-chen by the arm to get ready, since this evaluation is crucial for their graduation. Outside, we see the students playing sports. Plus, a bunch of students are using the open space to practice magic and test out their special combat skills. Some are playing soccer while others practice running using their elemental powers. Walking outside, our little MC comments that it's been a long time since he's seen so many people alive and happy together. But Ma Long gets totally creeped out by the sinister talk and asks his friend to stop saying such weird stuff. Our MC reflects on how he's already seen all of this destroyed. And so, if he doesn't do something now, that desperate and grim future will end up knocking on their door once again. Si-chen realizes he can't waste any time and needs to act immediately to level up as fast as possible and get stronger. Because, in this era, the only way for an awakened to evolve is by hunting and taking down dangerous monsters inside demon lairs. But almost all of these places are controlled by the major guilds, and anyone on the outside has zero chance to progress. Analyzing his stat sheet, our MC sees that even though he's at level 1, he has 100 points in each of his attributes. However, to organize power, the government separated everyone into ranks ranging from S down to E, where most people get stuck. Even knowing this, our guy wonders what his actual ranking would be if he took the measurement test right now, because he looks over at his friend and is absolutely certain that his current strength has already far surpassed Ma Long's level. But out of nowhere, a ball smacks the MC's friend right in the face. The impact is so hard that the poor guy goes straight to the ground. Then, a group of bullies who were sitting on the stairs starts to make fun of them. The leader of the group remarks that they recovered pretty quickly from their injuries from the last fight. Panicking, Ma Long says they were super unlucky to run into these guys. While his friend is shaking in fear, our MC just stares them down. The main bully keeps smirking and tells his goons that those two kids are really tough nuts to crack. Finally, he glares at Si-chen and asks why they didn't bring boxes of drinks for the crew, since they knew he'd be there. Ma Long starts stuttering, apologizing, and says he'll run off to buy the drinks right now so they don't get beat up again. But our MC steps in front of him and states with a serious look that his friend isn't to blame for anything, and the ones who should be apologizing are these freeloading worms. Our MC glares at the bully and realizes some really bad memories from the past are coming back with a vengeance. And he remembers when he was tormented by this same group of cowards who didn't have a shred of remorse. On top of that, we see these guys shoving the kid's head underwater while laughing about it. And Ma Long, even though he was weak, would try to scream for them to stop their cruelty, but nobody listened. The leader would say he was just helping the kid awaken, because he believed he needed to motivate Si-chen with violence, since our guy hadn't gained any powers yet. And we see the gang having a blast, thinking it's hilarious to see someone suffer like that without being able to fight back. Eventually, our little MC passes out and the guys decide to leave because they thought the game got boring. Ma Long rushes over in a panic, checking to see if his friend is still breathing while calling out his name. Si-chen wonders why these guys can never just leave people alone and are always tormenting others. After all, pure malice isn't just found in demon lairs, it's spread all throughout the human world too. And the villain keeps laughing, planning to humiliate our guy a bit more to assert his dominance. Snapping out of his memories, he repeats the question about the drinks super arrogantly, wanting to show who's boss in that part of the school. Ma Long tries to apologize one more time to avoid a bigger fight, but he's stopped by our MC. Finally, Si-chen firmly states that his friend did nothing wrong and that the bullies are the ones who should be apologizing. The bully leader makes a face like he has no idea what's going on and is outraged by our guy's audacity. Meanwhile, Ma Long totally panics and asks what the MC is even saying, because he's terrified things are about to get a lot worse. This punk's name is Gong Cheng, and he's an E-rank warrior. Our MC just stares the jerk down. Truth is, this Gongcheng punk is only a big shot because his older brother is the powerful student council president, but his own skills are nothing special. The other students nearby start whispering, eager to see our little MC get his butt kicked again. And everyone there thinks that Si-Chen and his friend are the two biggest losers and weaklings in the entire college. So the villain gets ready to attack and moves in to teach the kid a lesson. He then asks what our guy said before as he winds up a punch to humiliate our hero in front of everyone. But our boy stays lost and activates his tested monsters amount strike. Having finally lost his patience, the jerk charges forward, saying the MC needs another solid beatdown to learn his lesson. But to everyone's surprise, Si-Chen blocks his heavy punch using just one arm, and without even breaking a sweat. The villain feels a sharp pain in his hand as he realizes something is seriously wrong with this fight. Because of this, the students watching are shocked and wonder how a regular guy managed to stop an awaken's punch. Everyone is confused and people start doubting their own eyes, since our MC theoretically hadn't even awakened his powers yet. Furious, the bully screams that a powerless piece of trash like the MC should never dare to challenge him like this. Meanwhile, our guy realizes this is the perfect opportunity and decides to test out his new skills on this punk. Quickly, the system confirms the class change is complete and Si-Chen officially becomes an electric assassin with 2 times the strength and 3 times the speed. Seeing this bizarre scene, Ma Long is totally speechless and stammers as he asks when the MC awakened this insane power. Our MC just watches his enemy with a confidence he's never had before. But Gongchen refuses to be humiliated and activates his indestructible demon armor technique to try and crush our guy. He prepares his special move called Deadly Punch as he charges with everything he's got to finish off our little MC. Moving at lightning speed, Si-Chen easily dodges the attack. Then he takes advantage of the opening and lands a charged punch right in the middle of the jerk's face. The guy goes flying, getting thrown way back. For sure nobody there saw that coming, and the other students scream in shock as they see the bully get taken down in a single hit. Still processing what he just saw, Ma Long is amazed because he never imagined his friend was hiding so much raw power. Lying on the ground and in a lot of pain, Gongcheng complains that he was caught by a cowardly surprise attack as he tries to get up. On top of that, he starts screaming at his goons, asking if they're just gonna stand there watching instead of fighting. Stammering in fear, one of the followers tries to answer, but the terror of facing our MC now is way stronger than their loyalty to their boss. Our MC unleashes a terrifying aura, because he's finally decided to show who's in charge. Livid, Gongcheng screams that he's going to finish the kid off for good as he tries to land a crushing punch. But Si-Chen blocks the attack with ridiculous ease. The poor fool lets out a scream of agony as he feels the power of the shock, realizing way too late that he's picked a fight he can't win. And our little MC states that they're way too weak and are nothing more than talentless cowards. Right after that, our guy lands a thunder-charged punch that sends the villain flying and makes him let out a loud groan of pain. The pump's body is thrown backward with so much force that he flies clear across the courtyard. After being thrown, the guy slams hard into a wall. The bully is left lying there, all banged up and unable to move, while his goons run for it in a panic so they don't get some too. Watching the scene unfold, Ma Long is in total shock because he can't process what he just witnessed. He wonders when his friend turned into such a beast in a fight. After this whole situation, Si-Chen realizes that this new strength is really something else. And the system screen appears again, confirming he has 100 points in all basic attributes, even though he's only at level 1. On top of that, our guy figures out that now he can switch to his electric assassin state whenever he feels like it. Finally, he understands that his current state is more than enough to handle any low rank awakened, and that his true rank is now a mystery even to him. But our boy stays lost and activates his secret system, suddenly, with there's some Baldum he needs to deal with ASAP. Because even after taking down that bully, he notices his system stats are still exactly the same. The kid starts charging up an electric blade in his hand and wonders if the way to level up is different now. Seeing that dangerous energy, Ma Long and the other students totally freak out, yelling and asking what our little MC is planning to do with the guy on the ground. Gongcheng is already terrified on the floor as he watches the glow of the lightning get menacingly closer to his face. Si-Chen glares at his enemy with a dark look and wonders if the way to gain experience is still the same as in his past life. Grabbing the guy, our MC shows that he is not messing around one bit. Suddenly, a female voice cuts in, reminding the kid that they're still inside a school and things could get out of hand. And that's Ling Yu, the vice president of the student council, arriving to intervene in the commotion in the middle of the courtyard. She states that this level of punishment is enough, even if the bully started the fight first. And so, Si-Chen drops the guy on the ground. But our guy is suspicious of the girl's actions and wonders if the student council is just trying to protect this punk. As the tension hangs in the air, the other students watch from a distance, unable to believe the MC's complete change in attitude. Some students are terrified, commenting that the look on his face was horrifying and that they should never provoke him again. On top of that, a lot of people are questioning if that kid is really the same loser everyone considered the weakest in the entire college. Watching the pair walk away, Ling Yu keeps a mysterious gaze and decides it's time for her to leave the area as well. Later that night, we see the guy's dorm building, where students are trying to rest after a hectic day. Inside, Ma Long is totally losing his mind, trying to convince his roommates that our MC has finally awakened an incredible power. He describes how Si Chen wiped the floor with Gong Cheng and made the whole gang of bullies run off with their tails between their legs. One of the roommates, named Xiang Zuo, who's an E-level mage, doesn't believe a word of it and asks where the MC has gotten off to. Shang says it makes no sense for such a strong awakened to still need to go out for a run and do basic physical training. Shang Yu, another roommate, keeps typing on his computer while thinking that Ma Long took so many hits that his brain must not be working right. Besides, he explains that the four of them were put in the same dorm simply because they were the four worst students of the entire school year. The guy claims to be the number one in that room since the other two are just support classes. The roommate also emphasizes that he's the only one with a real combat class in there, being a core mage, and that this is an absolute fact. The jerk mocks Sai Chen, saying our MC looks like a weakling and that he's the one getting strong enough to join a club. Therefore, they are all on edge, because tomorrow is the final ranking test before the official college graduation assessment. Out of nowhere, we see the entrance to an E-rank demon lair that's used by students for combat training. A man emerges from within that energy portal. This guy right here is Gong Ting, the powerful president of the student council, who just finished his intense training session with Ling Yu. As soon as he wraps up for the day, the guards around him bow as a sign of total respect. However, the president notices someone is waiting for him by the corner of the wall and keeps a very serious and unfriendly look. And it's Gong Cheng, all busted up and with his face covered in bandages after the beatdown he got from our MC. Whining, he says he won't even be able to sleep until his older brother deals with a kid who humiliated him in front of everyone. Listening to all the complaints about our hero's lack of respect, Gong Ting just listens. Finally, the president assures his younger brother that he will personally handle Si Chen very soon. And to recharge, dinner is served. Sitting across from him, Ling Yu asks how he plans to deal with our MC since his brother was completely outmatched in the fight. The student council president wonders if Si Chen is really as strong as people are saying. On top of that, the vice president comments that he knows everyone's rank and has already recruited the few D-ranks geniuses for his exclusive club. Because the other average Joe students don't get the same chance to enter demon lairs, and that's why they never manage to truly evolve. And our MC appears running alone in the middle of a heavy rainstorm at night, carrying 100 kilos of weight on his back. Our guy takes on a 20-kilometer run to push his body to the limit. He understands that basic exercise improves physical condition and that an awakened's limit depends on their true strength. Because only with a highly resilient body will he be able to unleash the extreme powers of his electric assassin class in the near future. However, he feels that this is still not nearly enough because he remembers the carnage caused by the Demon King Wrath when he descended upon the earth. Sadness and hatred surge as our little MC remembers his only living relative, his sister, meeting a cruel end at the hands of that monster. The boy also knows that it was this Wrath who opened the gates of the underworld, allowing the other demon kings to enter our world. Therefore, the main goal of the first phase of the MC's plan is to get strong enough to take down the Demon King Wrath once and for all. He pictures the face of that bloodthirsty beast, which is the start of all the destruction he now plans to prevent. In the end, Si Chen realizes he still has 3 years until the villain's descent, so he needs to grow and get much faster than his mortal enemy. In the middle of the heavy rain, our MC's phone starts vibrating like crazy. Someone is trying to get in touch with him. Sai Chen pauses his training and looks at the device's screen, since he wasn't expecting a call at that moment. Because on the display, he sees the name of his sister, Xiao Yun, and our guy is in shock when he realizes she's finally calling him back. The MC answers, feeling tense about the call from his sister. On the other end, Xiao Yun sounds super excited, calling him bro and asking why he called so many times in one day since she was in a competition and her phone had died. On top of that, the girl laughingly mentions that if she wins the prize this time, their rent problem will be solved, and the MC remembers how he prayed to the heavens to have it all back. However, the girl notices his silence and asks if it's raining where he is and wonders why her brother isn't saying anything. Even with his face wet from the rain and tears, our little MC lets out a smile of relief, because he finally gets to live these moments again. Because even if he has to go through an endless nightmare, none of it matters as long as he can hear his sister's voice again after so long. But Xiao Yun finds his talk a bit weird and says they just talked the day before yesterday, and also promises they'll see each other right after her competition ends. As he hangs up the phone, Sai-chen stares at the horizon with a very determined look because now he's absolutely certain that everything has truly started over. Our guy starts running again with even more grit, wanting to complete 3 more laps because he needs to get strong as fast as possible to protect the ones he loves. 8 hours have passed since he returned to this era, and the young man finally gets back to the dorm, where Ma Long and the others are already fast asleep. Right after he heads to the shower and realizes he's adapting to his new body, which, despite still being physically weak, is much younger and full of potential. While drying off, Si-chen starts planning his next move, knowing that he now needs to tackle the most critical problem to ensure his survival and the future of humanity. Sitting on his bed, Si-chen reflects on how the major guilds monopolized the demon lairs, making life difficult for anyone who wants to level up. And he lies down, thinking that only the rich and powerful have a real chance to level up, while wondering where he can find monsters to hunt. On top of that, our guy tries to figure out the nature of this strange gluttony power that is now a part of his new life. Suddenly, a black screen appears with a red loading bar, announcing that the system is initiating its boot-up process. As the loading progresses rapidly, the young man's body seems to enter a deep and mysterious state of trance. Soon, the completed notice appears, officially launching the gluttony system as our MC begins to plummet, falling headfirst into this void. Si-chen feels his consciousness being transported to a completely different dimension. As soon as he manages to stabilize his fall, the young man lands. Before his eyes, a colossal twisted tower rises from the middle of red water under a cloudy sky. However, our little MC is pretty confused by the scenery and wonders how he ended up there if he was just sleeping in his room. Finally, back in the real world, Ma Long tells the other roommates that his friend probably went out for a run, with no idea of the craziness he's facing right now. Staring at that gigantic, bizarre tower, Si-chen wonders what on earth this strange place is, and where he's ended up. Suddenly, our MC realizes he's surrounded by bizarre creatures that look like they crawled out of a horror movie. These beasts are known as E-rank deathhounds. Sensing the danger, our guy sees a loading message and realizes he's about to change classes right in the middle of a demon lair. In a flash, the change is complete, and he becomes a level 1 electric assassin, gaining a 10 times bonus to his movement speed. With the monsters charging full speed at him, the atmosphere gets heavy, as the pack has no intention of giving him a break. But our little MC moves like a flash and slices the first enemy in half using just the raw power of his yellow electricity. As soon as the first beast falls, an item appears in the air, indicating he's obtained valuable materials from that forest of death. Leaping between attacks, the MC continues his slaughter and realizes his current strength is more than enough to get the job done. Plus, he finds it funny how dealing with these low-rank monsters has become child's play with his new powers. Watching the experience points rack up on the screen, the kid understands that this is all real and he's not trapped in some crazy dream. Suddenly, it's announced that our guy has finally leveled up to level 2 in his new class. Looking at his stats, he notices that all of his attributes have increased significantly, leaving him even more prepared for the fight. With a smile on his face, Si-chen realizes that he now has an exclusive demon lair to run solo missions and level up fast. However, a deafening roar echoes, and a gigantic boss monster appears right behind our MC to test his true potential. The boss monster roars with all its might in front of our MC, who decides to use this place to test his real limits. Suddenly, Sachin delivers a fatal blow to the creature and receives a mountain of experience points for the kill. As soon as the victory screen pops up, our guy levels up to 3 and even collects several rare items from the corpse. Plus, he realizes that the experience bonus from a boss is way higher than from the regular mobs in the area. Looking at the enemy's fallen body, the young man notices a devorable prompt floating in the air. This leaves our little MC pretty shocked, and he wonders what that strange term is supposed to mean right now. Because as he stares at the corpse, the system keeps insisting that the creature can be consumed by his ability. Then, an intense light starts to glow in the palm of his hand, indicating that something very different is about to happen. Our guy wonders if this is the true meaning behind his gluttony power. And the MC just straight up consumes the boss monster. As the process finishes, he feels a new strength coursing through his veins. He sees that the monster was transformed into a magic card that grants a passive cold resistance skill. Sai-chen understands that he can devour defeated enemies and turn each of them into unique classes for him to use. Our hero is left completely speechless when he realizes he possesses the most broken ability in the entire world. At last, he stares at the glow in his hands with a determined look, knowing that now, no one will be able to stop his progress. While looking at the image of the Demon King Lanyue, our MC feels a strange connection to this evil entity. He starts to think more about the details of this new ability. and Sai-Chin realizes that this gluttony power originally belonged to the Demon King himself. Our guy realizes that he's now taken this ability for himself, or rather, it was given to him. On top of that, he knows that the laws of this world state that each person is born with only one class and its natural weaknesses. However, our little MC shatters this absolute rule by showing that he now has two different classes at the same time. The kid also understands that if he keeps devouring other monsters, he could possess an infinite number of classes. But even with all this potential, he wonders for what reason he was given such a sinister and dangerous power. Staring at the demonic tower, Sai-Chen tries to figure out the secret of this mysterious place. Suddenly, a crushing pressure appears out of nowhere, making the environment tremble in a way that puts our MC on high alert. Breaking out in a cold sweat, and with a look of pure shock, the kid tries to figure out what's happening and where all that power is coming from. Emerging from the flames, a shadowy figure states that he has been waiting for the young man's arrival for a long time. And that's the powerful Lord of the Lair, who wears a tattered cloak and carries an aura of death as he calls out Si-Chen's name. And out of nowhere, our MC goes flying backward, seemingly having taken the first hit. The kid manages to get back on his feet, but he can already tell his opponent is extremely powerful. Our MC remembers that in his past life, he almost got himself done in just a Regressed rank. However, his combat power now is D ranks at best, and he realizes the monster in front of him is an S rank boss. And so, Si-Chen is left completely unsure of how he's going to win, since the level difference is massive and his stats are being crushed by the villain's presence. Staring down the enemy, our guy wonders what kind of demon lair this is and why there's such a strong monster in this place. At an insane speed, he appears behind our MC, ready to launch his next attack. The villain lands a heavy blow that sends our guy flying. Down on the ground, the young man tries to recover while the monster taunts him, asking if he still plans to keep fighting. And he continues saying our little MC isn't going to be able to win this fight. Realizing his opponent's intention, our MC understands that the villain's plan is to make him surrender and bow his head. So, the Shadow Lord offers a choice, asking if the kid wants to stay there and protect the demonic tower with him. With a look full of hatred, our guy tells himself that he will never agree to be trapped in this cursed place. However, the monster doesn't like that answer at all and immediately launches a slash that hits the young man's arm. Our little MC is stunned by the speed. He couldn't even see it coming. In the end, the boss states that the only reason he hasn't taken the MC out yet is because he's the only one who can enter this place, but warns that he might change his mind soon. Bleeding badly, Sai-Chen feels the weight of the attack and realizes the villain's patience is running out. The Shadow Lord asks one last time as a terrifying energy begins to cover the entire battlefield. Giant rocks start to float all around as he gives our guy one final choice: serve or be crushed. But Si-Chen shows an expression of pure rage and declares that he has already made his final decision. Suddenly, our little MC charges forward with everything he's got, yelling that the only option he'll accept now is to take the villain down for good. Finding this ridiculous, the monster unleashes several attacks to finish Si-Chen off. But our boy stays locked and activates his seekers, or boy stays locked and activates system. Suddenly, as his speed increases, Si-Chen quickly closes the distance, completely ignoring the fear of facing an S rank. Staring intently at his opponent, our hero reveals that he managed to analyze all of his movements during their exchange, because he noticed that the Lord has an opening of almost half a second before swinging his heavy weapon at him. And so, our guy predicts the attack's path and dodges the blade at the very last possible moment in an epic way. On top of that, Si-Chen notices there's a slight recovery delay after each charge from the giant armored monster. So he decides to aim right for that opening, taking advantage of the fact that his opponent will be defenseless for a short period of time. Hitting the monster's chest with a dead-on blow, our little MC unleashes an insane electric discharge into the creature's body. Even though a D rank can't take down an S rank, he knows the paralyzing shock will hold the Lord for a few seconds. Finally, using his Thunder God ability, running like a madman, our MC takes advantage of the enemy's paralysis and tries to make a break for it from this place, before time runs out. As he's bailing, he sees a bright light in the distance and figures that must be the only way out. Trying to reach the exit, Si-Chen stretches out his hand to touch the portal, hoping that this will be the end of his problem. Suddenly, the light vanishes and the portal back is sealed shut, appearing menacingly. The villain reveals that the light was just an illusion and that this bizarre place isn't even a real lair. Finding it all very interesting, the monster praises our little MC for being way too smart and finding the flaws in his attacks so quickly. This monster right here is the Rakshasa of Purgatory, an S-rank Star Warrior, who now says the kid is the only chance for hope. Looking at the beast's face, Si-Chen is bugging out because its appearance is a dead ringer for the Demon King Lanue he already knew. Even with panic setting in, our MC continues to analyze everything calmly. Recalling the final battle of his previous life, our MC pictures the scene of total destruction where it all went down. During that insane combat, the villain showed his monstrous face while leading an army of dark creatures. On top of that, the enemy could switch between several high-rank classes effortlessly, like this colossal ice dragon. Fighting against fire and explosions, our guy realized that his opponent's versatility was something beyond human reality. Even when facing giant monsters made of roots and plants, the hero didn't give up on trying to save what was left of the world. Among all those sinister forms, one specific image was forever burned into our little MC's mind. He starts connecting the dots and understands the gravity of the current situation. He finds it super weird that its appearance is almost identical to the Demon King's. Before him, the Rakshasa of Purgatory emanates a powerful purple energy that looks exactly like the physique of the former demon emperor. Suddenly, a doubt pops into his head about whether this Rakshasa was devoured by the gluttony power and is now integrated into his body. Looking at the tower's reflection in the red water, our guy is shocked to discover that this entire bizarre place is actually inside of him. With a macabre face, the monster states that Si Chen has proven himself worthy of receiving everything that exists there. Totally blown away by the revelation, our MC wonders what this everything could be as he stares danger right in the face. Finally, the Guardian presents the triple S rank Key of the Void and explains that the strongest demons devoured by Lanue are sealed within the tower. With the key in front of him, the Shadow Lord says that our MC must devour all the monsters to get stronger and turn everything into fuel for his growth. Holding the legendary item, Sai Chen is pretty confused and asks why such a dangerous creature is trying to help him like this. Explaining the situation, the monster states that there's a line between good and evil, even among demons, and says that the other kings wiped out all of his people out of pure greed. Furthermore, the Guardian reveals he waited an eternity for a chance at revenge, and now believes our guy is the only hope for the plan to succeed. Curious, our MC asks who the beast is talking about when he mentions that a certain someone was right about the mission's success. Without giving too many details, the Lord points to the gigantic tower and says that all the answers are inside. The hero just needs the courage to enter and discover the truth. Starting to fade away, the Rakshasa orders Sichin to take his power right now and make all of his enemies pay for what they've done. Our little MC is completely shocked at the idea of absorbing the strength of such a powerful being and wonders if he can really handle that much energy in his body. Showing his true terrifying face, he yells that, from now on, the kid needs to be unstoppable and must open the gates of the tower to devour everything in his path. The monster also warns that the entities trapped inside are cruel and treacherous and guarantees they won't go easy on him like he did during their little scuffle. As the pressure builds, Sai Chen hears that he must endure the suffering and conquer every floor to finally stand at the top of this entire world. The Rakshasa affirms that the ultimate goal is to devour each of the demon kings until our MC becomes the strongest being of all. Dissolving into smoke, the creature's body begins to disappear, and the crushing presence that filled the area starts to slowly fade. Watching his former adversaries end, our MC realizes that only someone with an iron will is considered worthy of inheriting such an insane power. At last, Si Chen extends his hand as a loading bar indicates that the power transfer is being successfully completed. Leveling up, Si Chen reaches rank 10 and also gets 2 rare underworld bones as a special reward for having consumed the Rakshasa. Showing a very serious look, our MC states that he got the message and promises to carry the will of that legendary warrior on his journey. Finishing the process of devouring the monster, he receives the Rakshasa of Purgatory card with some OP skills and vows to make all his enemies pay dearly. Suddenly, the scene changes to a window which seems to be in a bedroom. Waking up to a voice shouting for everyone to get up, our little MC opens his eyes, a bit dazed as he tries to figure out what happened. He sits up, startled, and our guy realizes that he is, in fact, back in his college dorm, surrounded by his old roommates. As he watches the other guys get dressed, Sai Chen wonders if that whole experience in the tower was just some crazy trip or a super realistic dream. However, he notices that all of his injuries are completely gone and is surprised to realize his body is fully healed without a single mark. Pulling up the system screen, our MC confirms that it was all real, since all the rare items and cards he collected are still in his inventory. What's more, the kid is blown away to see that he jumped all the way to level 10 in just one night and now has some seriously balanced and powerful stats. Meanwhile, Xiangzhou walks up to the bed and loudly calls out to our guy, wanting to know if he's really awake yet. With a bit of a mocking smile, the roommate comments that he's heard people saying Sai Chen suddenly became some kind of incredible, unstoppable fighter. All the while, the other roommate, Xiang Yu, watches the interaction from a distance with a look of someone who's very suspicious of this whole situation. Staring down our hero, the guy asks if our MC is really planning to challenge his top dog status in the dorm. Finally, the roommate announces that the official ranking test is about to start and says he wants to see what Si-Chen is really made of in an official match. And Xiang Zuo doesn't seem the least bit worried about the pressure of the day that's just beginning. As he finishes his breakfast, he explains to his roommates that even though they all seem like E-rank students, the reality is there are divisions within the rank. Showing a level chart, he points out that the difference between low tier and mid tier is massive and claims he could take on 10 guys at the same time. The guy scoffs at the situation and comments that maybe his own rank has gone up quite a bit since the last official evaluation. Suddenly, Ma Long comes over to our MC and encourages him to do his best to try and reach D ranks and leave everyone stunned. Si-Chen wonders to himself if D rank would really be his limit now. Shifting focus to the central courtyard, we see a climate of anxiety taking over the students as they prepare for the big event. Some people are commenting that everyone showed up super early for the official ranking test ceremony that's about to start on the main screen. However, the mood shifts when Gongchang's goons show up, pushing other students around and acting like they own the place. With sour looks on their faces, these bullies show they have no intention of making life easy for anyone and keep up a very arrogant posture. Noticing the gang is looking in their direction, Ma Long gets terrified and suggests they should get out of there, fast. However, our guy remains standing with a calm expression, not even fazed by the presence of the guys she used to scare him. But the real surprise comes when the bullies completely change their tune and their eyes go wide when they see our MC right there. Breaking out in a cold sweat with looks of terror, the guys turn pale, showing they still remember the monumental beatdown they got in the courtyard. Finally, the bullies give a humiliating bow and call Si-Chen Big Bro, showing a level of respect no one saw coming. Xiang Zuo's jaw drops, and he wonders why the bullies are treating our MC with so much respect, while Ma Long flashes a victorious look because he told him the kid had changed. Ignoring the butt kissing, our guy keeps walking calmly while the bullies stay bowed in the background, showing that the courtyard's hierarchy has truly shifted. Suddenly, a shout cuts through the silence, and Si-Chen focuses his gaze on a new problem that has just popped up on the way to the official test. And that's Jang Jian, an officer from the student council who arrives with a sarcastic smile, asking about the scuffle that happened yesterday with the president's brother. Leaning in close, he emphasizes that Gang Cheng is the younger brother of the powerful leader Gang Teng, and makes it clear that messing with the president's family brings serious consequences. As the two face off in the middle of the path, the other students realize the situation has gotten serious and comment that this council guy isn't someone easy to deal with. Ma Long is trembling with fear as he realizes the officer is a D rank, awakened, and wonders why such a strong guy is targeting our little MC right now. Getting right up next to our hero's ear, Jiang Jian claims he has a very keen sense of smell and can sniff out a truly powerful warrior from a mile away. However, he lets out a mocking laugh and says that coming from Si-Chen, all he smells is the pathetic stench of someone who is going to be a failure for the rest of his life. With a total smirk, our MC asks the bully if he's a dog or something, since he keeps going on and on about smells. Extremely irritated, Jiang Jian lets out a scream asking what the kid just said as his face contorts with rage. Suddenly, an authoritative voice rings out across the courtyard ordering the council officer to immediately stop with the cheap provocations. And that's the imposing Gong Ting, who states that he investigated everything and acknowledges that his younger brother was the one who started the whole mess. Furthermore, the president reinforces that it's only fair to pay the price for doing something wrong, and Jiang Jian immediately lowers his head in agreement. Maintaining a cold and enigmatic expression, the student leader focuses his gaze on Si-Chen as if he's assessing a threat. Without showing any sign of fear, our MC holds his gaze, showing that he doesn't feel the least bit intimidated by the guy's presence. As the tension continues to hang in the air, a teacher gets up on stage and announces that the ranking test will begin, following the students' numerical order. Turning his back, Gongting decides to go get ready and mutters under his breath that our little MC doesn't seem like much of a threat to him. Looking over the scene, we see the place is packed with students, all anxious to find out what their new official classification will be. From high up on a luxurious balcony, someone watches the whole crowd while calmly enjoying a cup of hot tea. And that's Vice President Ling Yu, who sports a mysterious smile and thinks that this test might end up being a lot more interesting than she imagined. After about an hour, the announcer calls Xiang Zuo's name, who must come up to the stage immediately to perform his evaluation. Walking with a smug smile, our hero's roommate declares that the time has finally come for everyone to see his true strength. Finally, the young man steps into the glowing blue energy portal and prepares to face the challenge that will define his future at the university. The roommate enters the dark room alone, which was specially built to function as a controlled training demon lair. Inside, he finds the so-called demonic core, which is a bizarre machine full of wires connected to absorb all of the fighter's energy. See, Xiangzu needs to unleash all of his firepower at once in front of the device, so his true strength can be measured by the system. And so, the guy unleashes a huge blast that hits the center of the machine, making everything around it glow with the intensity of that fiery blow. As the fire spreads, the core starts to process the attack, showing it's capturing every last drop of the kid's spiritual energy. The equipment also sends all this captured data through the cables to the computers with the scientists outside. Soon, the initial result pops up on the main screen, indicating that our MC's roommate managed to hit the mid-tier of E ranks. However, the evaluators notice the process isn't over yet and wait in anticipation to see the rest of the data the system will release. In the middle of the crowd, Ma Long shouts, all hyped up, announcing that now the main event everyone wants to see is about to start. Because besides the current rank, the machine can also measure potential, which represents the highest level the Awakened can reach in the future. As soon as the processing is done, the letter C appears on the screen, defining the maximum evolution limit for that student's career. Coming out of the portal, Xiangzue is pretty disappointed with the average result and regrets not being able to move up to D ranks like he really wanted. Seeing his friend totally crushed, Ma Long tries to cheer him up and tells him to relax, since the other two in their room are way weaker. On top of that, they compare their scores and realize that Ma Long and Xiang Yu are just low-tier E ranks too, with their potential also capped at C. Suddenly, the crowd goes into absolute shock when the big screen flashes brightly, showing a student who finally reached D rank with an incredible B potential. The crowd goes wild as the screen announces the first D-rank student of the year, with a B-level potential shining on the screen. And then Jian Jian steps out of the portal celebrating hard, because he also managed to get D-rank and an extraordinary A-level potential. However, Xing Zuo and the others are feeling pretty down because they've realized there are already 8 people with a higher rank than them. The teachers also comment that this year's class is full of rare talents and that the graduation assessment is going to be a huge spectacle. Then the spotlights focus on the feat of a new candidate as the system announces that the next one to be tested is now taking stage. And that's Gong Ting, the council president, who walks in with the swagger of someone who knows he's the best one there. And just like that, the crowd starts cheering non-stop because he's the heir to the Imperial Guild and holds several prestigious titles at the college. However, our MC watches everything from a distance with a pretty neutral look and doesn't seem the least bit impressed by this whole show. Because on the screen, the info shows that the president was already D-ranks 2 years ago, and everyone is wondering what level he'll hit today. Entering the testing room, the young man faces the demonic core, which starts to beat loudly, emitting a very sinister sound in the room. Suddenly, the eye of that bizarre machine opens and focuses entirely on the crushing presence the student leader is giving off right now. And so, standing in front of the equipment, Gongting prepares to unleash his energy and show the world his true brilliance. However, he decides he's not going to use his full strength right now because he plans to make a much bigger impact at the final graduation test. But even while holding back a bit, the young man vows he's going to break all the records and be the #1 in the school's history. Finally, the screen starts processing the data, and the energy bars shoot up rapidly, indicating that an insane result is on its way. The evaluator is left jaw-dropped when he notices the color of the result shining intensely on the ceremony's screen. Soon, everyone realizes the president has hit the high tier of D ranks, but what's really terrifying is his absolute S-level potential. Suddenly, the crowd erupts into a state of total madness, commenting that they've never seen anything like it in the entire history of the college. On top of that, Jian leads the cheering, yelling that their leader is the best and should be praised by all the students present. In the middle of all that chaos, Ma Long can't believe he just witnessed a historic moment, while our MC continues to watch everything with a very cool demeanor. However, the scientists decide this result is so insane that they need to send an urgent report to their superiors as soon as possible. The teachers also comment that an awakened with this level of future potential is a rare treasure that must be focused on and protected by the state itself. Keeping a little smirk on his face, Gongting basks in his moment of glory as he knows his fame is now going to be all over the national news. From high up in the building, Ding Yuanlong comments that he already figured the young man would have such an incredible performance because of his track record. On top of that, the dean notices that Ling Yu doesn't seem surprised and asks if she only came to watch the president's show. However, the vice president maintains her elegance and states that, actually, she's not just there for the heir of the Imperial Guild. With a very deep look, the young woman reveals that there's another student who has caught her attention much more on this official testing day. because as she scans the crowd, she focuses her interest on our MC, who is just moments away from entering the battlefield. Finally, the announcer calls out Si Chen's name and our guy gets ready to show the world the true weight of his new overwhelming power. Leaning in with a sneer, Jiang Jian tells our MC to try and bring a little honor to his dorm of losers. Laughing his head off, the bully claims that if the four of them keep being low-rank trash, they'll become the biggest joke in the entire university. As his friend's data appears on the screen, showing only low levels, the guy keeps mocking them, saying they'll be an embarrassment at graduation. Losing his patience, Ma Long yells at the jerk to just wait, because our guy is going to leave everyone in shock with his real power. Soon, Shi Chen's name flashes on the main screen, and he walks towards the testing portal under the watchful eyes of the whole curious crowd. Watching our hero's entrance, Xiang Zua looks pretty worried and wonders if our little MC is really going to pull off a miracle today. Now inside the dark room, our MC faces the demonic core, which hangs from several wires in the center of the high-tech arena. Suddenly, the eye of the bizarre machine opens and focuses entirely on the kid, sensing that a very heavy energy is about to be unleashed in there. With his eyes glowing red, our MC knows he needs this result to get into a high-level guild in the future. On top of that, he gets that the combat exam is his only shot to prove his worth and lock in a successful career as an awakened. C. The rules allow teams of up to 10 people, where everyone can pick their own partners to take on the test's challenges. And the team that takes first place will get all its members recruited directly into the powerful Imperial Guild. Outside, Zhang Jian introduces his boss to their new ally, Yang Lin, letting him know the guy is already D-rank. With this new recruit, the villains team now has 9 D-rank members, and they're convinced the victory is already in the bag. Finally, the group starts to celebrate, saying the president will be the big winner, but they have no idea what our MC is cooking up. While the crowd comments that the strong stick together and the weak get left behind, we see the team from our MC's dorm being treated like a bunch of losers. Meanwhile, Ma Long starts to sweat, wondering why his friend is taking so long in there without any sign of life from the testing room. On top of that, the main screen is still completely blue, not showing any information, which just amps up the suspense among all the students watching. Making fun of the situation, some students say the kid's power must be so pathetic that the machine can't even recognize his mediocre level. Still, Zhang Jian insists the president shouldn't waste time on trash and suggests they just head out to celebrate the win at karaoke. Agreeing with the idea, Gong Ting decides to leave and orders them to call the rest of the group to wrap things up for the day. But suddenly, the electronic panel makes a static noise and starts processing data very aggressively, catching everyone's attention. Because right in the center of the screen, the classification high-tier D ranks pops up, leaving the entire stadium in a dead silence of pure shock. With their eyes wide, his roommates are in total shock, unable to believe that our MC actually reached such a high level. Jumping for joy, Ma Long yells that he told everyone about his buddy's strength and celebrates as if he's the one who got the top score. Meanwhile, the president and his goon are totally frozen, wondering how that average kid managed to get such an insane result. Inside, the demonic core starts to seriously glitch, and the system announces a huge instability, asking the candidate to repeat the test. Staying calm, our guy realizes that just his base level 10 stats are already equivalent to the top of the current D ranks. Then, a class change message appears in his vision, indicating that he's about to unleash a much more terrifying and powerful transformation. Finally, our little MC takes the form of the Hellish Death King and decides to test the potential of his weakest devoured class against the machine. The panel starts to totally bug out as the sound of static fills the place, grabbing the attention of everyone present. Suddenly, a mid-tier C shines on the screen, leaving the entire audience speechless at this sudden and absurd evolution. Screaming their heads off, Ma Long and the other roommates lose it when they realize our guy's level just jumped again. While Jiang Jian is left jaw-dropped, President Gong Ting claims it's impossible and wonders if the machine is broken. The scientists also start sweating bullets, because they've never seen a result change so many times and suspect the system is failing. Inside, the demonic core continues to struggle to process the immense energy load our MC is releasing right now. Because our little MC decides he's going to raise the bar even higher and initiates a new class change to show off his greatest trump card. Taking the form of the Rakshasa of Purgatory, he sports a sinister look with horns and a purple aura that takes over the entire room. Staring menacingly at the machine's eye, our guy realizes the equipment is on the verge of a complete and total collapse. And so, an explosion of purple energy creates a violent whirlwind that starts affecting everything around it with an unnatural force. On top of that, a dark tornado full of lightning appears in the sky, turning the test's atmosphere into something completely terrifying. Looking up at the sky in pure terror, the people at the college wonder what on earth is happening with our MC's evaluation. commenting that they're witnessing a historic miracle. His friends declare that their dorm has just revealed a god-level monster. However, the main panel starts to glitch out badly again as it tries to calculate our hero's final rank and potential. At last, a yellow letter S appears, defining that our MC has the most insane potential in the entire world. Looking at the screen, the scientist panics when he notices another S-level potential has popped up out of nowhere, and he wonders if it's even real. Breaking out in a cold sweat, Gongting stares at the scene, unable to process that our guy has reached the same legendary level as him. Suddenly, the system starts to emit a red warning signal as the letter S continues to glow amidst all the static. On top of that, the screen completely bugs out and displays a critical error message, indicating that the processing has totally collapsed. That's because the potential value becomes untrackable, since our MC's power exceeded the maximum load supported by the system. Completely terrified, Jian lets out a bizarre scream as he goes into a state of absolute shock over that absurd revelation. And so, a massive explosion erupts from the portal, sending flames and debris flying everywhere as the place shakes from the impact. Rushing towards the danger, the evaluators warn that the demonic core is overloading and they need to save the student as fast as possible. Entering the dark room, the men find a scene of destruction, with blue lightning coursing through all the cables in the high-tech arena. Staring at our guy, the scientist is speechless when he notices the young man is still standing without a single scratch on his body. Looking at the equipment, they realize the machine's core is gray and lifeless, as if it had been completely drained by something. As he walks out calmly, our MC ignores the specialists who are mourning the loss of such an expensive and rare piece of equipment at the college. Thinking to himself, Si-chan admits he pushed it too hard and basically choked out the machine's engine until it just died for good. But then, our little MC reveals that his gluttony skill actually managed to devour the core, and now he has a brand new A-rank's power. Finally, the hero walks out of the destroyed portal looking victorious while everyone around tries to process what they just witnessed. With his new power active, our MC feels his eyes glowing intensely as he awakens the demonic core's ability. Walking through the crowd, our guy realizes he can now see the real rank of every student there, which is going to make his life a whole lot easier. On top of that, he scans his surroundings and realizes that no one can hide their true power level from him, thanks to this OP technique. Then, our MC focuses his gaze on Gongting and discovers that the president was also holding backies, actually a mid-tier C level. On stage, the evaluators are devastated by the loss of the equipment and announce that today's tests must be suspended immediately for safety reasons. As the announcement echoes across the courtyard, they state that Si-chan's result was probably a system error and ask the other students to come back tomorrow. Ignoring the chaos, Ma Long jumps for joy and says our guy is an absolute genius, already asking what the master wants for dinner. However, Jian appears from behind screaming that it was all just a bug and that our hero is still just a loser. Foaming at the mouth with rage, the bully blames our little MC for breaking the machine and says he should feel responsible for all the council's wasted time. Feeling the mood heat up, our MC starts to channel a dangerous energy in his hand as he watches the guy scream non-stop in front of him. With a really dark look, our guy wonders if it wouldn't be a good idea to mess this jerk up for good. Right there in the courtyard. Suddenly, Gongting breaks up the fight and orders his goon to stand down as he shouldn't treat a teammate with so much disrespect. Hearing that, the bully is in total shock and wonders if his boss really considers this weird kid a new member of their group. Extending a friendly hand, the president invites our MC to join his official squad and smash all the graduation records together. In the end, Si-chan stares at the unexpected proposal while the air grows tense, with all the other students waiting for his final answer. Seeing the direct invitation, the entire courtyard is in shock because the president of the Imperial Guild personally invited our guy to his elite team. However, Jian gets desperate and grinds his teeth, thinking that if our hero joins, someone is going to get kicked out of the main group any second now. On top of that, the villain wonders what gives our MC the right to receive such an honor, since many others would pay fortunes to be there. Even though he's boiling with rage on the inside, the bully knows he can't go against the final word of his supreme leader. So, the guy forces a fake smile and tries to welcome our little MC, pretending everything is fine, while hiding his deadly hatred. However, our guy simply turns his back on the invitation and states very bluntly that he has zero interest in the offer. Gripped by absolute surprise, Jian's eyes go wide, unable to believe that anyone would have the guts to refuse an offer like that. As silence falls over the place, Gongting focuses his gaze on our hero, trying to understand why he was rejected so brutally. Screaming at the top of his lungs, the henchman asks if the kid has gone crazy for ignoring the strongest team in the school, but our MC just says that's not his problem. Sai Chen warns that the guy is way too loud and orders him to never bother him again. Completely losing it, the bully is fuming as he watches our little MC calmly walk away towards his original dorm. In the audience, the students start gossiping non-stop, commenting that our guy has a lot of nerve to stand up to the council president like that. The crowd suspects that our hero plans to take first place all by himself, since his test result was a very promising C-level. And his roommates just can't hold it in and start laughing their heads off at the dumbfounded looks on the villains' faces, loving how our MC just totally humiliated them. Finally, maintaining his enigmatic posture, Gongtang comments that it's alright because his new rival seems to have his own plans for the university's future. Watching the courtyard begin to empty, we can see that the tense atmosphere still hangs over the students as they walk away, lost in thought. From high up on the balcony, Din Yuanlong laments the fact that the two prodigies didn't form a team, as he was eager to see a new historic record set at the school. However, Vice President Ling Yu sports a little smirk and comments that actually, things just got a lot more interesting this way. On top of that, the young woman explains that Gongting has always had everything handed to him, so our MC's refusal sounded like a direct declaration of war. Keeping his cold gaze, the student leader shows he's not someone to be trifled with, and his heavy aura indicates he's not going to let this slide. Meanwhile, Zhang Jian is still ticked off and claims our guy only got attention because of a machine error, says there's no way he's a real C-cranks. However, the president focuses his thoughts on the possibility that the test was correct, and swears to himself that he won't let anyone steal his first-place spot. His face twisting with malice, the bully remembers that our little MC has no real combat experience, while they've already faced real demons in secret lairs. And so, the goon suggests teaching the kid a lesson on his own, but Gongting asks if he looks like some petty, jealous type of person. Deciding to leave, the young man says he's not in the mood for parties and orders the group to solve their own problems without involving his name. But with a sinister glint in his eye, the president reinforces that whatever actions his subordinates take from now on will have nothing to do with him personally. Then, Jiangjian goes silent for a moment, trying to process the words of freedom he just received from his leader. A macabre smile spreads across the villain's face as he understands he's just been given an implicit green light to hunt down our hero without any restrictions. 10 minutes later, an informant approaches the bully on the stairs and reports that our guy has vanished off the map and can't be found on campus. Finally, the guy confirms he overheard our little MC say he was going home early and that he left the premises without even stopping to eat. Crushing a can on the ground in anger, Zhang Jian celebrates, saying that even the heavens are helping him get his revenge. The bully declares that outside of school, it'll be way easier to take care of our MC with no witnesses around. Meanwhile, our guy is walking peacefully, wearing his headphones. Passing through a more deserted area of the city, our little MC is focused solely on his own plans to try and change the fate of this world. On top of that, he remembers that in his past life, an elite guild ran into a terrible accident inside a hidden demon lair. Back then, the warriors found a powerful creature named Wrath, who had a terrifying gaze and an uncontrollable thirst for destruction. The elite team was quickly wiped out by giant tentacles, and the monster got out of there to spread chaos across the entire land. Since this is the only information he has, our hero knows he needs to act fast before this tragic history starts to repeat itself. Thinking about how to find the demon's exact location, RMC starts to map out a strategy to get rich, fast, so he stops in front of a fancy building called the Mithril Monster Market, looking to make some serious cash from his items. Stepping into the establishment, Si Chen remembers that this place is going to become the biggest material exchange hub in the whole country in the near future. Looking at the weapons on display, our guy knows that equipment is the soul of an awakened, and this is the fastest way to make a profit right now. So, our guy places a few sharp monster teeth on the counter and waits patiently to see the attendant's reaction. Picking up one of the pieces, the appraiser asks, stunned, where a simple student got such a rare and valuable item that he's never seen before. Finally, while the man analyzes the material, the pink-haired attendant recognizes that it's actually the fang of a legendary E-rank beast. The appraiser states that Sangsin fangs can be turned into scepters or dust, and tells her to knock it off with a useless lecture in front of a customer. On top of that, the guy grumbles that the shop is only for important VIPs, and that's why he usually only deals with D-rank items and up. You see, the man is really worried about the slow business and wonders when he'll finally get his long-awaited promotion to supervisor. Looking at our guy with disdain, the attendant thinks he's just some poor unlucky schmuck and decides to push all the boring work onto the new employee. And so, the guy walks off and tells little Lee to take care of all the remaining procedures, pretending he has a lot of faith in her talent. As he gets paid, our MC sees that the 18 fangs brought in 18,000 and thinks that this cash is enough to cover rent with no problem. However, our little MC decides to show something more and starts to focus his energy. Pulling a bizarre weapon out of nowhere, our guy asks the young woman to take a look at the piece of equipment. Completely mesmerized by its look, little Lee comments that the giant sword is the coolest thing she's ever seen in her life. Analyzing the piece carefully, the girl guesses that the item must be at least B ranks, but quickly corrects herself, saying maybe it could even reach A level. But suddenly, the appraiser comes back laughing, saying that an A rank item costs over $1 million, and he's never seen anything like it in his years of service. However, an elegant man in a blue suit appears in the background and agrees that it's definitely not a B or A level piece of equipment. Celebrating his supposed victory, the attendant scoffs at our guy, thinking his boss is just confirming that the item is a piece of junk. The manager states that the sword comes straight from the lands of Purgatory and reveals that it's a legendary, absolute S-rank item. In the end, the appraiser goes into a total panic, letting out a scream of terror as he realizes our MC was carrying a priceless treasure. Then, the manager shakes our MC's hand very firmly to show how much he respects such a valuable client. And on top of that, the man welcomes our guy, calling him a distinguished guest. Then the boss invites our little MC into the VIP room and says he can ask for anything, because the house is at his command now. However, our guy thinks to himself that this fellow has finally crossed his path just as he had planned. Finally, the name of this influential businessman is revealed as Qingji, and he'll be a key piece for our hero's next steps. Pouring some tea, manager Qingju gets ready to negotiate with our MC. He asks how much our boy is planning to ask for that legendary gear. Replying super bluntly, the main guy says he only wants 1 million for the item. The manager thinks our boy is out of his mind, since that's way too low. Explaining the market, Qingji points out that even rank A gear sells for millions, and that rank S weapon could easily be worth tens of millions. But our guy says he doesn't want to sell the sword. He actually wants to use it as collateral for a 1 million loan, which he plans to pay back in just 1 month. The manager is left wondering where a simple college student got a wild idea like that. Observing the MC, Qingji realizes he's no ordinary dude and asks if he's some rich kid who ran away from home. Laying out the terms, our MC doubles down on paying the principal in 1 month, and even offers a 10% interest rate for the following month. Asking his assistant to step out, the manager dismisses Xiaoli so they can talk business more seriously. Adjusting his glasses, Qingji remembers that our boy studies at the National Awakened University. The man mentions that the annual graduation exam takes place in 1 month, and the first place prize is exactly 1 million, which perfectly matches the amount and time frame our MC proposed. With a little smirk, the manager already has the MC's whole master plan figured out, and gets ready to make his move. He asks if the kid is really that confident he's going to snag first place in the exam. Sizing up the situation, the manager figures our main guy desperately needs the cash right now since he couldn't wait a month to grab the prize and went for a way riskier option. Spotting a golden opportunity, the man decides it's totally worth going all in on this client. He immediately offers a 1.5 million loan in cold hard cash, with 0 interest for a whole month. Reaching his hand out to our boy, Qingju suggests that this deal could be the start of a beautiful friendship. Our MC stays quiet for a second, just processing the offer. Securing the future of their partnership, the man promises that everything discussed there will stay strictly confidential, and asks our hero to always keep his shop in mind as his top choice. Our boy stays locked and activates his secret system. Suddenly, when our boy stays locked and activates his secret to say, instead of ripping out the boy's strange agitation, let's say, sealing the deal, our MC knows that to get rid of the demon named Wrath, he can't just rely on his own strength, and he's going to need some reliable allies. The kid officially locks in his very first major alliance. Right after that, out comes the magic contract, wrapping up the deal. With a smile, the manager says the contract is all set and the funds have been transferred, and at that exact moment, our MC's phone pings. Curious, Qingju asks what the young man is going to use for the graduation exam, seeing as his best weapon is now sitting as collateral, and offers to lend him some gear. Looking over the shop's arsenal, the man admits he doesn't have any rank S items in stock, but he does have a sweet selection of rank A and B gear. Turning down the offer, our boy just says he's good. Whipping up a second sword, looking exactly like the one he just left as collateral. Everyone is totally clueless as to how the MC pulled that off. As our main guy walks away, Qingji comments on how there are so many talented kids out there these days. Turning to his team, the manager thanks little Lee for helping out such a VIP client and promotes her to supervisor right on the spot, leaving the girl absolutely thrilled. Stopping at the door, our boy remembers he's got one more thing to take care of. He thinks to himself that now he needs to buy a specific item to keep his plan rolling. Leaving the shop, our MC quickly hops in a cab and heads to his next stop. Arriving at the long-distance bus terminal in Shanchang County, he gets ready to kick off an important trip. Our guy remembers that in his past life, his family went through some major financial struggles, and since he wasn't awakened, no guild would take him in. In his memories, he sees himself running around as a delivery guy, taking on a bunch of side gigs just to scrape together rent money. Back in those tough times, his remaining bank balance barely hit $105. He recalls how he and his sister Uni had to live on a super tight budget just to survive, with her always having his back and telling him she'd picked up a tutoring gig to help pay the bills. The MC looks at the acceptance letter his sister Si-yoon got from the International Central Art Institute. Tearing up the paper, the girl says that, at the end of the day, she did manage to pass the test, but she gave up her spot because it was too far away and she wanted to stay close to him. The truth, though, is that Si-yoon was worried about putting more financial strain on the family, so she let it go. Back in the present, our boy checks his phone thinking it's getting late and his sister Uni should have been off the bus by now. A familiar voice shouts his name, calling him brother. Running toward him, Yuni scolds him, saying she already told him to wait at the exit, not at the terminal entrance. Pulling her suitcase, Si-yoon jokes that they're broke again after paying that month's rent, repeating the exact same scene from the past. Completely frozen, our MC can only think about how it's been 7 long years since he last saw that smile. Snapping him out of it, the girl asks for a hand with her luggage. Annoyed by the delay, she asks why her brother is just standing there like a mannequin. But instead of answering, our guy runs right at her and pulls her into a huge hug. The girl gets totally surprised and starts thinking it's been 7 years since they last saw each other. Whispering, our MC finishes her thought, saying it's been 7 years since he was able to see her. But the hug is so tight that the girl starts running out of breath. Complaining about the squeeze, Yuni yells, asking if he's trying to squeeze the life out of her. Finally letting her go, our main guy hears his sister say he's acting weird, asking if he got rejected by some girl, but he denies it. Walking side by side, the girl keeps rambling on about all the news, while our MC just listens to her closely. While watching his sister, our boy thinks that, this time around, things are going to be different. With a warm smile, he swears to himself that he'll never let his sister suffer again. A group of thugs is keeping an eye on the siblings. Giving the order, the leader tells his goons to hide, ready to jump our boy the second he shows up. With a creepy smile, the trashy guy swears he's going to make sure our MC learns what happens when you mess with him. Looking worried, one of the goons warns the boss that there are a lot of student council members around, asking what happens if things get taken too far. With a cigarette in his mouth, the leader replies that he was just going to teach him a little lesson. But our MC's attitude ticked him off, calling him a rank E loser who doesn't know who he's messing with. In a quick flashback, our boy with his eyes glowing just tells the dude he's making way too much noise and warns him to never bother him again. Yelling in anger, another goon tells the crew to save a piece of him for himself, promising he's going to beat our MC up so badly he won't even be able to take the graduation exam in 2 weeks. Pulling out a shiny dagger, the boss Kyung-gi brags about being one of the best assassins in the school and swears he's going to take that punk down. A little ways away, our MC and his sister are walking together on a pedestrian bridge. Sipping on some juice, Yuni mentions that her brother has been acting super weird lately, asking if he's stressed out about the graduation exam. Looking at him, the girl teases, saying an airhead like him doesn't usually get all caught up in his feelings. Giving him a little lecture, Si-yoon tells him to pull himself together, reminding him that he was the one who always said life is a long journey and opportunities will show up eventually. Trying to cheer him up, she even starts humming a song about believing in yourself as they keep walking. With a faint smile, our boy thinks about how sharp Uni is for noticing right away that something was off, but figures she still doesn't know he awakened and thinks they're still broke. Reassuring his sister, our MC promises everything is fine, but she doesn't buy it and wonders if he's just denying it out of pure male pride. Annoyed, Yuni grumbles that a book she read was right when it said, men build emotional walls as they get older, coming to the conclusion that her brother is just getting old. Turning onto an empty street, the duo is being closely watched by a figure hiding in the shadows, ready to strike. Catching sight of this, one of the bad guys lets the boss know the target has a girl with him. With a wicked grin, Chang-di thinks the setup is perfect and celebrates the fact that the alley has no cameras, declaring it their lucky day. Stopping dead in his tracks, our boy catches a familiar scent in the air, and his eyes glow on high alert. He quickly realizes that scent belongs to the student council guys who are coming after him. With a furious glare, our MC thinks those guys are pretty gutsy for coming all the way out here. Keeping his cool, he simply grabs his wireless earbud case and pops one in his ear, getting ready for what's about to go down. Placing the other earbud in his sister's ear, our main guy braces himself for the upcoming showdown. saying he's been listening to this one song a lot lately. He asks Uni to check it out, but the girl is surprised and asks since when he got into music. Closing her eyes to vibe with the melody, Siyun thinks to herself that music can really show a person's state of mind. Determined, she decides to listen closely to try and get a better read on what's going on in her brother's head. Turning around with his eyes glowing blue, our boy faces the approaching enemies while his sister stands with her back to him, completely lost in the song. Just then, the group of thugs shows up, revealing they're all rank E and D, way below our MC's level. As the music plays, the lyrics talk about rust swallowing reflections and the sky shattering into echoes of goodbyes, setting a pretty dark mood. Right after, a chaotic scene shows humanity running in desperation as the song mentions calendar days fading away in a countdown to the end. Flashing back to the past, our guy remembers that in the year 2160, in his previous life, he lost his last family member and was only reborn in 2167 to finally reunite with his little sister. With his face glowing in pure rage, he thinks about how this is the first time in 7 long years he gets to be with his family again. Yelling in his head, our MC is furious at the thugs for daring to ruin such a massive moment as they charge right at him. In a quick and brutal move, he lands a devastating punch right in one of the goons' faces. Totally shocked, another bully watches his buddy go flying from the impact of the hit, raking into a cold sweat from the fear. While the brawl goes down, Yeni keeps her eyes shut, listening to the lyrics that are now talking about ruins disguised as problems and walls breaking apart. And the song keeps going with lyrics about loneliness and contempt, while our boy, wrapped in energy, fights everybody all on his own. Completely terrified, one of the attackers screams in fear seeing our MC's insane strength. Giving absolutely zero chances, he unleashes a combo of punches and kicks that nails several opponents all at once. Moving like a flash of light, our guy drops all the enemies, while the song's lyrics talk about a magnificent star crossing the galaxy. Desperate, one of the last goons tries to throw a straight punch at our main guy. Easily, he reaches out and stops the hit dead in its tracks, just as the lyrics talk about reaching your own destiny. Snapping the attacker's arm with a crisp crack, our MC shows off his overwhelming power. Screaming in pain, the goon yells that his arm is busted, while the background lyrics sing about finally hearing a distant echo once again. Showing no mercy, our boy twists the guy's arm even more, making him scream in pure desperation. With a blast of energy, he tosses the remaining enemies far away, and the music plays on, saying he'll give it his all to protect that fragile star. Totally freaked out, the gang leader, Kyung-gi, is in absolute shock, wondering what on earth is going on with this dude. Questioning how our hero can be so ridiculously strong, the boss watches the kid channel even more energy, ready to keep the fight going. Pushing forward without stopping, our MC dodges a bat swing and lands a massive punch on another enemy. With his fist glowing, he knocks out yet another goon with a clean shot to the face. After taking down everyone else, our boy finally ends up face to face with the leader, who's waiting for him with a dagger in hand. Even though he's terrified, Chang-di tries to act tough, screaming that he's the strongest cloud-type assassin in the school. Absolutely fuming, the guy cusses out our MC, asking if he seriously thinks he's unbeatable. With one quick, perfectly aimed strike, our hero punches Kyung-di in the face so hard that his dagger goes flying through the air. Tossed violently, the boss's body is launched far away from the sheer force of the impact. Without missing a beat, our guy spins around and clobbers another opponent who tried to sneak attack him from behind. Locking back onto the leader, our MC throws a powerhouse punch right smack in the middle of his face. With a brutal uppercut, he finishes off Kyung-di, leaving his face looking completely messed up, tossing the leader's body far away. The boss's body slams hard into the ground. Viewed from below, our MC's silhouette stands out against the sky, with his eyes glowing ruby red. He can feel his dark and intimidating presence. Looking down at Kyung-di's fallen body, our main guy reminds him that he already warned him to never bother him again. He asks which part of that warning the guy failed to understand. But our Kyung-di realizes his ribs and legs are broken, questioning if our MC's rank is actually S instead of D. Grabbing his knife, our boy threatens to end him if he makes a single sound. Petrified, Chang-di senses that our MC's eyes aren't bluffing and that he's actually going to meet his maker. Desperate, he wonders why a simple student has such an intense, deadly aura. Our hero warns him that he better remember every single word he's about to say. Pointing at the goons' bodies, our MC says he couldn't care less if they all rot away, but they better never bother him again. Correcting himself, he warns that if they even show their faces in front of her, he's going to take them down one by one. With his red eyes glowing, our boy swears that without a second thought, he'll make every single one of them permanently disappear. Completely terrified, the gang leader just nods his head in agreement. Right after, our MC walks away, leaving Kyung-di's beaten body behind. Listening to the music, Yuni feels a bit lonely, as the lyrics talk about migrating birds and a cloudy sky. With tears rolling down her face, the girl wonders why that song is making her want to cry. She reflects on how it's only been a few days since they last saw each other, but he's acting like he's been through so much, wondering how he can feel so lonely when she's always been right by his side. Taking out the earbud, Siyun calls out to her brother, asking if he isn't taking the joke a little too far. Standing right in front of her, RMC holds out a small gift box. With a smile, he says he bought it for Yuni, revealing a shiny gold pen. Shocked, the girl recognizes the item as a magic holographic pen, the latest model from Dragco. Still amazed, Yuni points out that it costs over 10,000 and asks where he got the money. While she stresses over the price tag, our boy thinks about how he failed to protect her in his past life, not even managing to protect her dream. Clenching his bloodied fist, he promises himself that, in this life, he will protect absolutely everything about her. Beaten down in the alley, the goons groan in pain, with one of them begging for an ambulance. Testing out her gift, the girl uses the magic pen which beams a bright pink light. Mesmerized, Yuni draws a holographic fish in midair, not believing it actually works and can create floating images. Our boy happily eats away, saying his sister's fried egg noodles are the absolute best and that he's just glad she liked the present. Worried, Siyun scolds him for blowing money like that, reminding him they still need to pay rent. Calmly, our MC reveals he already paid the rent for the entire year, leaving his sister completely dumbfounded. A bit awkwardly, he makes up a story about starting a small business with a buddy and how they made a little cash. Not buying it for a second, Yuni tells him he's a terrible liar and accuses him of acting super sketchy and keeping secrets from her. But, with a softer look, she thinks back on the situation. Noticing the smile on her brother's face, Yuni thinks about how it's been a long time since she's seen him this happy. Putting a hand on his shoulder, the girl leans in closer. She asks that, no matter what happens, he just makes sure not to push himself too hard. RMC just nods in agreement. Far from there, a narration explains that Chiangdi suffered severe injuries with over 60% of his body fractured. Standing in front of a massive fish tank, a man thinks that not even the best doctors could heal him up in just a month. He can't believe the goon actually picked a fight with Si Chen, and is shocked to see the state he was left in. Sitting in an armchair, a woman points out that, from the looks of it, Chiangdi is going to have to miss the graduation exam. Brushing it off, the man says it makes no difference, since his team is better off without dead weight. A guy with a mustache shows up. Recognizing the kid, the older man, Gong Shuen, the university's career services director, grumbles that it's that Si Chen kid again. Confirming the internal results from the last evaluation, Director Gong Shuen watches the fish in his tank. Looking at the young man, the director reveals that Si Chen is indeed a rank C, making him the only student in the whole school with a higher ranking than his. Without saying a word, the young man just listens. Giving him a heads up, Gong Xuan mentions that the kid's dad invited the Alliance's vice president to personally inspect the graduation exam, and instructs him not to let anyone steal his thunder. Moving along with the plan, the director adds that if all else fails, turning to his niece, he says he'll just have to ask her to fill the empty spot on Gong Ting's team, just in case something happens. Replying with total confidence, the young man tells him he's overthinking things. With a smirk, he questions if the director really thinks he went all out with his skills during the ranking evaluation. Guaranteeing his victory, he promises the man can rest easy because on the day of the combat exam, he'll make sure to let everyone know. With a determined look, he finishes by saying he's going to show them who the real strongest of them all is. By 11 p.m. back at the boys' dorm on campus, our MC thinks about how he's finished his 100-kilometer weighted run for the day. Shower thoughts hitting him, he figures that now that the money issue is sorted, everything is going smoothly and he should be able to really kick off his plan after graduation. Thinking about his next move, he sets his sights on securing the 1 million yuan prize in the graduation exam to pay off his loan with Qingzhi. Determined, our boy reminds himself that he needs to honor the deal since he's going to need a lot of things from Qingzhi down the line. Chilling on his bed, our main guy calculates that he's got less than a month until the exam. Mind made up, he decides he needs to level up a few more times before then. Right then, a system initializing screen pops up in front of him, complete with a loading bar. Shortly after, the loading wraps up and the message, "Gluttony system initiated," shows up. Instantly, he finds himself standing in front of a massive creepy tower that stretches all the way up into the sky. Standing at the base of the structure, our boy stares up at the sheer size of the tower rising to a chaotic reddish sky. Thinking about his powers, our guy recalls that the evaluation results showed his weakest class, the Hound King, is at a mid-tier rank C. Analyzing his strongest class, the Abyssal Demon, he remembers that the official rank wasn't displayed because its potential value couldn't be pinned down, maxing out the system's limits, and even though it's rank S, he can't tap into its full power yet. Looking at the cards for his other two classes, Star Warrior and Lightning Assassin, our MC figures their exact ranks are still a mystery. Suddenly, a glowing golden rank SSS key, the Time Rift key, appears in his hand, acting as the only item capable of unlocking the gates to the Tower of Darkness. Using the artifact, a giant gate starts booming open, revealing a bright purple rift. Ready to push his limits, our MC stares down the portal, wondering what's inside the tower and what kind of crazy scene is waiting for him. He gets sucked right into the purple energy vortex. Popping up in a totally different place, our boy looks around in surprise, trying to figure out where he just landed. Arriving in a place called the Fallen Star Wastelands, our guy comes face to face with an alien landscape under a purple, starry sky. Completely lost, he tries to wrap his head around where on Earth he ended up. Suddenly, he drops to the ground, feeling a crushing force pulling him down. Struggling hard, our MC realizes the gravity there is insanely heavy, hitting him at about 10 times stronger than normal. Seeing that the door he came through has vanished, he figures he needs to beat the floor boss to get out. Except in this environment, he can only use 30% of his strength and needs to adapt fast. Right then, a giant purple paw appears in front of him, stomping down hard on the ground. Revealing itself, the creature is a phantom lion, a rank B Star Warrior. In a flash, a loading screen pops up, showing that he's switching classes. Taking a deep breath, his hand starts crackling with yellow lightning as the transformation takes place. Finishing the swap, he becomes a level 10 Si Chen, the Lightning Assassin, and faces the creature, recognizing it as the floor's enemy. Wasting no time, the Phantom Lion leaps right at him with its claws ready to strike. Dodging with crazy agility, our boy sidesteps the purple beast's attack. Feeling his body weighing a ton, he decides he needs to wrap this fight up as fast as possible. Going for an attack, his lightning dagger hits the creature's chest, but the system warns him that the critical strike and the paralysis effect completely failed. Shocked, our guy wonders how on earth he missed a shot like that. Putting the pieces together, he realizes the high gravity messed up his speed and accuracy, causing his assassin class to lose all of its perks. Watching the creature move around with total ease, he wonders if this is the standard power level for monsters inside the Purgatory Tower. Before he can even think about it, he gets hit dead on by the beast's attack. With his eyes glowing blue, he decides to switch over to the Purgatory Rakshasa class. Completing the new transformation, the Star Warrior class pops up, bringing the ability to absorb stamina from bodies and manipulate gravity in 3 different ways, massively boosting his strength and endurance. Realizing that every class has its own sweet spot, our MC knows that hand-to-hand combat is all about the warrior's raw power and stamina. Charging right in, our boy throws a powerhouse punch straight into the Phantom Lion's face, creating a massive impact. Stacking the gravity to the absolute max, he boosts the hit's impact by up to 600%. In this high-gravity environment, the power of his punch gets multiplied 60 times over. Taken totally by surprise, the beast roars from the sheer force of the strike, but the creature tries to fight back with an energy beam, roaring right at our MC. Without even thinking about stopping, our guy yells that no one is going to hold him back and activates the super heavy mode of his gravitational calamity. Completely wiped out, he takes a deep breath with his hand leaning on the busted up ground. Right in the middle of a giant crater, the creature's body fades away while our panting MC scores a phantom lion bone. Right as of that, he snags 12,000 experience points and levels up to 11. Analyzing the system, he figures out that each star acts as a multiplier, and since the Purgatory Rakshasa has 11 stars compared to the Lightning Assassin's 9, its overall boost and rank are way higher. But even with all that power, he realizes that taking down a rank B monster took absolutely everything he had, meaning his current classes haven't pushed past the rank B limit yet. Looking back on the fight, he notices something is a little off. Staring at the creature's remains, our boy wonders why the system didn't show the tag saying the monster was devourable. And he also notices that the gate to the next floor hasn't shown up. He starts to put 2 and 2 together. Right then, a dark rift starts tearing open out of nowhere. Right in front of him, a massive portal looking like a black hole pops up in the middle of the landscape. Looking a bit closer, you can see a bunch of glowing eyes peeking out from the darkness of the portal. Freaking out, he asks himself if the real floor boss hasn't even shown its face yet. Shocked, our guy realizes that the creature he just went all out to defeat was just a regular mob. As a whole horde of phantom lions pours out of the portal, with 0 time to react, one of the lions blindsides him from behind, sinking its claws right into his chest. Totally surrounded and getting swarmed from all sides, he finally gets what the Purgatory Rakshasa's words actually meant. Flashing back to that warning, he remembers that the moment the door opened, he'd be welcomed by endless pain. In the middle of the onslaught, the beast roars right in his face while the voice in his head tells him he just has to endure it all. Covered in scrapes and bruises, he reminds himself that he's got to conquer absolutely everything. Suddenly, he wakes up drenched in sweat. Still panting, our MC sits up in bed, realizing the whole thing was just a crazy nightmare. Feeling the phantom pain of his muscles aching, he figures that the pain in his dreams is unbelievably real. The MC understands that there are zero shortcuts to getting stronger, and that his solo journey through purgatory is just getting started. Fast forward to May 20th, 2157, and the university's graduation combat evaluation ceremony kicks off in the main auditorium. Sitting at the judges' table, Director Gong Xuan sips on a drink while keeping an eye on the students. Meanwhile, a group of students whispers about the evaluation, mentioning that the big shots from the Guild Alliance showed up to watch it live. Curious, one of them says it's no wonder they changed the rules this year. Breaking it down, a red-haired guy explains that there used to be no requirements, but now every team needs at least 5 members, and one of them has to be a high rank E or above. Wondering if the change was just to spice things up for entertainment, the students get cut off by the director clearing his throat. Making an announcement to the whole auditorium, Gong Xuan lets everyone know that the rank info has been sent to their wristbands and tells them to wrap up putting their teams together. Right away, all the students boot up their devices. Checking the roster on his wristband, one student scopes out the names and ranks, spotting Gong Teng sitting at rank D. But suddenly, a kid with glasses points at his screen and yells that something is messed up. Looking at the student list, Si Chen's name shows up dead last, stamped with a low rank E. Pointing at the display, the glasses kid is stunned, asking how our MC could possibly just be a low rank E. Totally confused, a girl wonders the same thing, remembering that his test results showed rank C, but now it's dropped to an E. Chipping in, some guy assumes his demonic heart must have shattered in size, saying he was thinking about teaming up with him, but didn't expect him to be so weak. Thinking to himself, our boy figures that now, there's absolutely no way anyone is going to want to team up with him. Chatting among themselves, the students agree that nobody wants to carry dead weight in such a huge exam, and that our MC must be kicking himself for turning down Gong Ting's invite. With a serious look on his face, Gong Ting just watches the whole thing unfold in silence. Watching from his desk, Director Gong Xuan stares down at the scene. Thinking about his disappointing nephew, the director wonders when he's finally going to learn how to properly use power in human nature. Making up his mind, Gong Xuan decides he's going to teach him a little lesson by making sure his rivals don't even qualify to compete in the first place. Telling the students to not waste any time and form their squads as fast as possible, an instructor gives the heads up, and soon Gong Ting walks in, instantly getting mobbed by cheers from the crowd. Instantly, a massive crowd swarms Gong Ting, with everyone begging to join his team and screaming for him to pick them. Totally desperate, the students start offering whatever they can. One guy brings up that he's been on the student council for 3 years, a girl flexes that her healer class would be a huge asset, and another dude even volunteers to be his personal errand boy. Annoyed, one of Gong Ting's buddies tells everyone to shut up and get lost, yelling that they can only take one more person. Half an hour later, the team forms notification pops up over the joint hands of several groups. While a bunch of teams are hyping each other up and celebrating, our MC and his crew are left hanging in a corner, unable to recruit a single person. Sighing out of exhaustion, one of our boys' friends complains that even after asking a ton of people, nobody wants to join up with them. Getting worried, he goes on to say that they only have 4 people right now, and at this rate they won't even be allowed to take the graduation exam. Finding the whole thing super sketchy, the glasses-wearing buddy wonders why our MC's rank got bumped all the way down to dead last. Breaking it down, our guy explains that registering a team takes 5 people and at least 1 high-rank E member, getting the feeling that someone is targeting their dorm room on purpose. Thinking it over, he figures that the graduation battle is everyone's one big shot to show off what they can do, and the only way to lock in a solid career is by scoring high as a squad. Giving a rundown of the rules, a screen explains that during the final exam, the number of monsters in the dungeon is based on the team's head count, meaning having more people doesn't automatically make it easier to rack up a high score. Because of that exact reason, even the folks you couldn't squeeze into a powerhouse squad like Gong Ting still refuse to carry low-rank members on their own teams. Revealing the elephant in the room, a leaderboard shows that the 3 absolute lowest rank E students in the whole school, Ma Long, Xiang Yu, and our MC all happen to be from the exact same dorm room. Just then, a student calls out for Xiang Zua, one of our main guy's buddies who actually has an average rank. Giving Xiang Zua an invite, a group asks him to join them, questioning if he seriously wants to stick with the 3 rank E losers from his dorm, and warning him that if he stays, he might not even qualify for the exam. Reading the room, our boy figures that at this rate, it's pretty much guaranteed that the 3 low-rank E guys are going to get totally ignored by everybody else. On top of that, he realizes this is going to end up getting the 3 of them straight up disqualified from the exam. Turning his face away, Xiangzue apologizes. But right after that, he turns back around and turns down the offer, stating that their dorm had already promised a long time ago to form a team together and that he's not bailing on his roommates. Annoyed, the other student says, whatever, claiming our MC's buddy would have just been a benchwarmer anyway, and calls him ungrateful for daring to reject the invite. Right then, a team status screen starts filling up super fast, showing that almost all the squads are already locked in. Freaking out, the glasses friend points at the screen, yelling that basically everyone has a squad, and that even though they only need one more person, nobody wants to team up with them since there are barely any high-level rank S left. Turning around with a determined look, our boy takes in the whole situation in silence. Thinking things over, our MC remembers the career services director Gong Xuan, a rank C guy who shares Gong Ting's last name, pretty much giving away that they're family. Connecting the dots, our boy realizes that a massive exam rule got changed out of nowhere and that the director messed with his rank on purpose so nobody would want him on their team, wondering if Gong Xuan sees him as a major threat to Gong Ting. Determined, he declares that he's going to take the exam no matter what, and since they're coming after him so openly, he fires up a class switch. With the class switch complete, our MC gets wrapped in yellow lightning and announces that, if that's how it's going to be, he doesn't need to play nice anymore either. Watching the scene unfold, an instructor points out that showing off your skills isn't just limited to the exam itself. Totally shocked, one of our main guy's friends yells, asking what on earth he's doing. Surrounded by energy, he takes his spot right in the middle of the room, while the narrator explains that the Awakened University has the special tradition where students can challenge each other one-on-one anytime to master their skills. With a fierce glare, our boy gets ready, and the narration rolls on, explaining that this is a crazy bold move, but it's a surefire way to show everyone what he's actually capable of. Seeing this, the other students start panicking, but figure that most folks would probably just brush off a random challenge. Feeling confident, they think there's zero chance Gong Ting is going to accept it, while Gong Ting himself just stares right back at him, dead serious. Laser focused on his goal, the MC figures all he has to do is beat him, and then, naturally, people looking for a high score will be begging to join their squad. Out of nowhere, a voice calls his name and asks if his team is still on the lookout for more members. Turning around, our boy spots a girl and hears her say she'd also love to jump in on that year's graduation exam. The girl mentioned she hit ranked D back in middle school, so she definitely won't be dragging his team down. Absolutely mind-blown, our MC's buddy with the glasses shouts, wondering since when Si Chen has known someone like Ling Yu. Gong Ting wonders what the heck his cousin just said. Shaken by the scene, director Gong Xuan straight up chokes on his drink. As Ling Yu struts forward looking super determined, the click of her heels echoes through the dead silent room. Instantly, the other students start gossiping, wondering why Vice President Ling Yu would team up with a loser like Si Chen, considering she's an exchange student with a mystery background and rumored to be some kind of prodigy from Shanghai. Fuming, director Gong Xuan stands up and asks Ling Yu since when she started siding with outsiders, warning her that as an exchange student, she's not even eligible to take the exam. Keeping his rant going, he points out that she hasn't taken a rank evaluation since she transferred and that he's got zero paperwork proving her current level, making her participation a total rule break. Suddenly, the school's principal appears out of thin air, wrapped in a glowing purple aura, agreeing with Gong Xuan and catching everyone off guard with his surprise entrance. Totally dumbfounded, Gong Xuan can't even believe the principal is standing right there too. Walking up to Ling Yu, the principal asks why she, as a short-term exchange student, is getting herself mixed up in all this. Confused, our MC thinks the principal was supposed to be a soldier class and wonders where the heck he picked up teleportation skills. Using a pretty serious tone, the principal tells Ling Yu it wouldn't be fair for her to join in, since the exams only matter if the students are showing off their real skills, to which she just smiles and says it's a shame. Watching them go back and forth, our boy starts breaking a sweat, feeling the tension of everything going down. Trying to read the room, he notices he can't even see the rank for the principal or Ling Yu, since both of them just show up with a giant question mark. Riding that wave of support, Gong Xuan nods aggressively, claiming that the school's prestige comes precisely from always sticking to the rules. Kicking off a whole speech, the principal states that the National Awakened University's mission is to mold the best of the best and give them the ultimate stage to flex their talents. Scanning the crowd, he goes on, reminding everyone that the graduation battle exam is a decades-old tradition and easily one of the biggest turning points in any student's life. With a super intense stare, he asks how the school could ever maintain its reputation if students missed out on this massive opportunity just because of some special circumstances. Catching that stray bullet, Gongxuan gets absolutely furious, wondering if that old fool is firing shots at him and how the guy even found out about him messing with the rules. Getting suspicious, he assumes the principal must be in cahoots with Ling Yu to put on this whole little performance. And all of it, he suspects, is just for the sake of that one kid, RMC. Deciding not to bump heads, Gongxuan figures it doesn't even matter, and that he doesn't need to pick a fight with the old fool, since he already did what he could to help Gongting out, leaving our boy stuck with 3 losers and basically handing Gongting an easy win. Chuckling, Gongxuan bows and agrees with the principal, admitting it was a slip-up by the Career Services Department to not foresee that the team-building format might leave a few students hanging. Throwing his hands up, the principal declares that teams with fewer than 5 members, or those without a high-level rank E student, can also sign up, making sure the door to the exam stays wide open for everybody. Right on cue, the team forms notification pops up hovering over our MC's crew's joint hands. Cheering hard, his buddies scream with joy now that they can finally take the exam without any hiccups, and suggest Si-chen should step up as the team captain. Taking in the scene, the principal casually mentions to Ling Yu that her interest in Si-chen is way deeper than he initially thought. Looking back and forth between our boy and Gongting, the principal thinks about how, on one side, you got Gongting leading the most stacked team in school history, and on the other, there's Si-chen stuck with his 3 bottom-tier classmates, wondering which dungeon each side is going to pick and how many points they'll end up racking up. Up at the front, an instructor announces that now the teams are locked in, the captains can go ahead and pick their dungeon. Almost in a blink, the instructor gets a submission alert and is totally caught off guard by how fast one of the teams picked their dungeon. Quickly, the rest of the students realize it was Si-chen's squad that locked in their choice, leaving them all completely shocked. Freaking out, the students start yelling, not believing they actually went ahead and picked that one. In full panic mode, our MC's friends grab him, screaming at him to undo the pick and asking if he's lost his mind. With a cold, laser-focused stare, our guy looks right at the screen, while his buddy demands to know if he has any idea what he just clicked on. Breaking down the graduation battle exam, a screen shows that students team up to dive into a real dungeon, racking up credits by taking down monsters and bosses. Laying out the scoring system, beating the dungeon gets you 10 points, taking out the boss bags you 20, and clearing the whole thing in under an hour guarantees an extra 20. Showing off the multipliers, rank F dungeons offer a 1.5 bonus, while rank E dungeons literally double your overall score. Because of that, picking a rank F dungeon caps you out at 75 points max, but a rank E can skyrocket you to 100 points. If you win, every single member of the top scoring team gets a straight-up job offer from the powerhouse Imperial Guild. And if you snag the class MVP title pick through votes and reviews, you score a management spot at the Imperial Guild and a sweet 1 million yuan prize. Talking about the difficulty level, a student points out that the school record sits at 70 points, set by the absolute prodigy who's now running the Imperial Guild, and warns that you need at least 3 rank D players just to stand a chance in a rank E dungeon. Checking out Gongting's crew, that same student bets they might actually be able to shatter the school's all-time record. All of a sudden, a submission alert pops up, and a dude with glasses is stunned by how quick it was, wondering if a team really picked their dungeon already. Shocked, he realizes it was Si-chen's squad. Completely blown away, he yells out asking if our MC seriously picked that one, while the screen flashes the confirmation for the rank D dungeon. Freaked out by the crazy pick, everybody starts saying out loud if it's really a rank D dungeon. Locking in the decision, the screen flashes our boy's face right next to the words rank dungeon selected, just waiting on the rest of the team to hit confirm. Totally desperate. The other students start chattering that nobody has ever cleared a dungeon at that level before, wondering if he just straight up clicked the wrong button. Grabbing our MC, one of his buddies screams, asking if he's lost his mind and if he has any clue what he just locked them into. Sitting on the floor in full panic mode, another guy calls him a total lunatic, regretting ever agreeing to be on the same team as him. Looking at the notification begging for his confirmation, the buddy wonders if it's too late to just jump ship and ditch the team. Getting right up in our boy's face, the friend with glasses asks if he really thought this through, reminding him that it's a rank D dungeon. Completely cool, our main guy replies, yeah, and that he's already got it all figured out. Right after that, the selection screen refreshes, showing that 2 teams actually locked in the rank D, dungeon RMCs and Gongting's. Super fast, the confirmation for Gongting's team pops up, announcing that all members clicked accept and are officially booked for the rank D dungeon. Shook to the core, The rest of the students start yelling when they see a second team also went with the rank D dungeon. Acting all high and mighty, Gongting smirks and says this graduation exam is going to be a ton of fun. Mocking them, one of Gongting's female teammates asks what our MC's squad is even trying to prove, sneering that they're completely clueless about their own skill levels. A bit away from the drama, our boy and his buddies huddle up to figure out their next move. Making fun of them, one student guesses they already know they're going to finish dead last anyway, so they're just pulling this stunt for the attention. Laughing it up, Gongting's crew bets that our MC's teammates will never actually hit accept, predicting that their sketchy little team is about to fall apart before it even begins. The nerdy kid just watches him in silence, wondering what our MC developed such insane power, considering he used to rely on him for basically everything. Thinking about the whole shift, the buddy keeps analyzing our guy's totally new vibe. Making his choice, he smashes that confirm button and declares that since they've already spent 4 years together, he's going to ride with our MC until the very end. Following his lead, another buddy clicks accept, saying whatever, who cares if they get last place, while Shangyo also locks it in, curious to see what a rank D dungeon actually looks like. Ticked off about being the last one left, his buddy Ma Long calls them out. Yelling at the top of his lungs, he throws a fit about being the last guy to decide, since he fancies himself the top dog of their dorm. But even through all the whining, Ma Long gets confirmed too, shouting that he's in, and that since they're graduating anyway, they might as well go all out. Instantly, the notification pops up showing that everybody on Sai Chen's squad clicked accept, and the team is officially registered for the dungeon. Seeing his boys all rallied up and the choice locked in, our MC calls out to them. Apologizing, he admits he only picked the rank D dungeon because his ultimate goal is to snatch that MVP title. Going on, he mentions he feels kinda bad that he's basically dragging all of them along for the ride. But after that, flashing a super confident smile, our boy invites them to aim for the absolute max score together. Shooting him a nasty glare, Gongting declares that the MVP title has his name on it. Staring right back, our guy keeps a dead serious look on his face while his buddy stands next to him totally shocked. With his eyes flashing, Gongting warns Si Chen that there can only be one top dog in the whole school. Smiling to herself, Ling Yu thinks that's the very first time she's seen a look like that on Gongting's face. Watching the two squads walk away from each other, she figures the war between them has officially been declared out in the open. Commenting on the whole showdown, the principal notes that kids these days are honestly amazing and totally fearless. But Ling Yu thinks our MC's choice was a bit too cocky, highly doubting he can solo a rank D dungeon even with his rank C status. Breaking down the math, a screen reveals that the multiplier for a rank D dungeon is an insane 3 times, pushing the max possible score all the way to 150 points. Analyzing our boy's squad, an instructor thinks that the difficulty curve is way steeper than a rank E dungeon, and that picking it wasn't exactly the smartest move given the team's current skill level. Nodding along, the principal thinks about how they've got just over a month before the battle exam kicks off. Watching the students train, a female instructor claims it's going to be straight up impossible for them to build the skills they need in such a tight window. Standing inside the combat simulation room, she just hopes that when the time comes, Si Chen's team can at least put on a decent show. Fast forward a few days with just 17 days left until the exam, our MC's friends are totally drained and practically throwing up in the courtyard. Panting super hard, one of his buddies asks why Sai Chen is making them do all this brutal physical training, while everybody else is chilling in the elemental training room using the combat simulator. Complaining about the dodgeball and running drills, the other guy whines that the exam isn't some Iron Man triathlon, wondering what the whole point of this even is. Explaining his thought process, our guy says that at this point, it doesn't even matter how much they span their elemental skills, because at the end of the day, it's all just a simulation. Going on, he warns them that the second they step into a totally unfamiliar dungeon and face off against some nasty monsters, pure panic is going to kick in, and all the textbook theories they crammed aren't going to save their lives. And it's definitely not going to be some last-minute slapdash attack combo that bails them out either, it's going to be pure gut instinct. Spelling out his master plan, he claims that all this endurance, explosive power, and reaction speed training is exactly what they need to sharpen their physical reflexes. Wrapping it up, our MC points out that the perks of grinding in a simulator are basically zero, and the only real way to level up is by getting raw battle experience inside an actual dungeon. One of the buddies points out that regular folks like them don't just get access to real dungeons to practice in, and our MC finishes his thought, saying that only the guys with heavy status and perks get that luxury, people who were never regular to begin with. Right then, the shot cuts to Gongting slicing a monster clean in half. Moving on, our MC explains that the privileged kids do whatever it takes to widen the gap between them and everybody else, grinding in private dungeons so they can hog the top spot forever. With a laser-focused look, Gongting stands as the perfect example of that elite crowd who's been training since day one. Our boy thinks about Hsay, something out the voice thribbing. Those kids get handed the stuff that normal people spend their whole lives chasing but can only dream of ever touching. One of his buddies asks what a bunch of nobodies like them are supposed to do about it then. Replying with total confidence, our MC says that by getting into the Imperial Guild, they're going to smash right through that social barrier in front of everybody's faces. Looking his friends dead in the eye, he tells them that the graduation exam is going to be their one and only shot to finally outplay the elites. Thinking to himself, our boy realizes that this is also going to be his absolute best chance to surpass them too. With a dead serious look, he says he's going to give it his all and follow through on his promise.